Hey, my name is David, and today I'm going to talk about the new paradigm emerging. Do you believe it? Sometimes I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're shifting into a new paradigm or not. But in my heart and deep within my body, I do believe that that is what is happening. Um, and I wanted to talk a little bit about, like, what does that look like, right? What does it look like? What are we moving into? Because people don't talk about that so much, and I would love to talk about that more often, honestly. The more we talk about, like, what is possible, where we're moving into, the more that we create pathways and timelines into that reality, right? Um, I mean, a lot of people don't want to talk about what's possible, I find. And that's because we're living in a very super chaotic, dark time, if you ask me. It's very chaotic because we're shifting, right? It's a recalibration. It's that in-between time. And it's hard to see where we're headed when we can't see it. And so a lot of what came through me um, was when I was writing my book Within Us. And it's just a great book. And it's been my best teacher. And I love reading it still. And I get a lot from it. And so the whole process of writing Within Us for me was like every time I went to sit down to write the book, I would enter into what I call the book bubble. It was a certain frequency that I would enter into, right? I would leave the vibration that I was in, and I would enter into this super, almost enlightened state of being, and I would do it every day. I would sit in the chair, and I'd have my sacred items there, and I would enter into it in a sacred way, and I felt like it would just change my vibration in my body for as long as I was writing. And what was happening was I was writing, and information was coming through me that I didn't even know, right? And it took me a while. I would just write. I was like, just write it out, even if you don't believe it, right? And then I'll research it later. I wasn't watching any YouTube. I wasn't researching anything at first. The reason why I'm telling you this is what occurred to me, what was happening, is I was connecting into like my quantum body, meaning that I was able to come into a complete state of presence, meaning that I would be able to tap into my future self and also tap into my past self, but being here in my body now. And I really believe that's where we're all headed. It takes a lot of energy to be able to hold that vibration. So I think that, like, when I was writing, I was able to do it for maybe 1 or 2 hours, and then I wasn't able to do it anymore. So a lot of this information the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of the information that I'm going to throw at you today came through me. And I had written a chapter in the end of the book that laid some of this out, but I didn't lay it all out. Also, it takes a lot to trust that kind of inner knowing, right? It really, when we talk about those kind of insights or visions, we don't want somebody putting us down, all right? So, because it doesn't feel good, and we don't want to defend that. I don't want to defend that. We don't want to defend our visions and our sacredness. And so a lot of people don't talk about it. And I feel like that's, and there's reasons for that, and I get it. And at the same time, I think it's time to really start talking about these things that we know, right? And so what's really exciting about this paradigm shift is everything is going to be changing. And how does it change? First, let me talk about that a little bit. It changes within us, right? And so it begins to change on a vibrational level depending on what soul family you belong to. That's for another video, but so if you're watching this video, you're probably like, yeah, I'm starting to see this. I want to know what's going to happen. I'm starting to feel a shift within me. And so how it works is like everybody starts to shift into these higher vibratory states, coming into a more coherent state. Yeah? And then all these people all around, even in the government or in these new jobs, these new technologies that begin to emerge, start to come through those folks who are holding that higher vibration already, right? These natural technologies that are beginning to emerge. And some of them are already, I see them already happening, like biomimicry, and people are talking about 0-point energy supply or 0-point technology, right? And new ways of forming education. And so let's start there with education. What we're going to start seeing is the dismantling of the old education system because it won't be relevant anymore. A lot of the teachings at the education system are very dogmatic. Yeah. And so they're not as, it's changing now. And I know that there's a lot of teachers out there who are working to change that within the school districts and within private schools and stuff. So we will need a new education system that facilitates personal evolution, right? Finding higher purpose, learning to support mitochondria and cell growth, right? Learning about sacred sexuality, being outside, exploring, curiosity. Not like, when I grew up, it was a totally different time, but like, all the desks and everything, I know they've kind of been changing that, but like sitting in school, like learning math and learning English, and I know there's already countries that are starting to dismantle that structure, right? But learning how to be in relationship with our body, learning how to be in relationship with others and relationship to the earth. Yeah, all of these new ways of learning are really important. And we will start to see the shift in the educational system, which is the core of the separation belief structure being taken away, right? Because what we're doing when we're in school, what's happening to us is they are literally laying the groundwork for separation beliefs to take hold of our body. Yeah, and that slows the flow of energy. It also slows the evolutionary flow in our body, and also creates disease and all kinds of things. And that leads me to the healthcare system. We all know it's broken. We all know it creates a ton of jobs too. In Syracuse, New York, where I'm originally from, they have a cancer treatment center and research center, and it's the biggest employer in that city. That's crazy, right? So when we begin to shift, when our bodies begin to shift into a higher vibration, and we begin to have better mitochondrial health, meaning that we begin to eat better. And it's like it just happens, right? It's been happening to me. It's been happening for a long time. Like, I haven't been to a doctor in 15 years. I'm not on any medication. I'm 59 years old. I have some things to work on. But I know that I have some things to work on, and I'm actively doing that, right? So I take responsibility for my own health care. That's a huge thing because we've given our power away to the healthcare system. It's like, here, take this pill. Oh, so you're overweight. Here, take this pill. But there's an underlying thing that's happening in that situation, right? Also, honestly, it's the food that we eat, and I'm going to get into that. But like, so the healthcare system begins to change. It becomes more holistic, preventative. We begin to work with people, begin to know exactly what's going on with them. And when our vibration rises, we want to participate in our own health care, right? We begin to realize that through breath, through sound, through thoughts, and we can, and through the acknowledgement of separation patterns and beliefs, we can begin to change and heal our bodies through the cellular structure of our bodies. And there's so many different ways, and there's so many different practitioners that will evolve and come to the forefront to help others. So that's really a huge thing. So moving away from as so many pharmaceuticals as we've had to use, moving more into working with herbs, working with actually connecting with the plants, actually connecting with our body through somatic experiences, somatic practices, listening to our body. We can start to heal our bodies, through a sustained vibrational continuity. So that's really exciting. So exciting, actually. So all of that kind of goes together with the education system and the healthcare system, because when you're young and you're learning how to take care of your body, you're not going to have as much dissonance in the body that creates disease, right? You're going to be living in coherence, so you'll be living longer. Honestly, we will all be living much longer than we have been, and a much better quality of life. So the next thing is the rebuilding of cities. I know this sounds like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, but let me just put it out there, please. And this is, to me, one of the more exciting aspects of. So we live in these cities that were not created to be in coherence with nature, right? They're like dirty water. There's no flow through the whole city. There's no animal corridors. So here's how I see these new cities coming up. So these cities that are going to be rebuilt. So it will have to be like a new city will have to be from the ground up will be built, and the old city will begin to be taken down at the same time. It will, and so here's what the new cities look like. Let me just go into that. So the new cities, they will be built with the forethought of how energy moves, how the water moves through the city, right? And so what I see happening is we have all these animal corridors, and where animals can move through the city out to the suburbs, and they could live in there too. And the thing is that the animals begin to not be afraid of us because the vibration changes, okay? So they're not always going to be running from us because we won't pose a threat. So we will be able to go into these animal corridors right in a city and feel like we're in nature because we are in nature. So there won't be a separation between city and nature. It will all be in one coherent state. There will be lots of food parks meaning there will be all kinds of fruit trees and community gardens and municipal gardens that anybody could come and pick. Food will become less of like a commodity and more like something that's integrated into our lives locally. And also, we probably will be able to get food from South America or something in the winter. I'm not really sure how all of that works right now, but I'll be talking about cultivating food in the same video just in a little bit. And so the buildings that will be constructed will be all natural, right? And so the way that looks is like we will be using the principles of biomimicry, meaning the buildings will not be square anymore. They will be fluid, so the energy moves through them seamlessly, so that when we're living in these buildings, we are literally living in a coherent field